in theatre, because it is such an art form where you are, you're stripped bare emotionally, and that I feel is much more being much more vulnerable than stripping yourself physically. So to be able to unlock your true potential, you need to be comfortable. You need to feel safe.
So, in this era, now you have shown us a positive glimpse, but then there is also OTT that has
Absolutely.
even put box office into, a very topsy-turvy
Absolutely.
situation right now, because
Absolutely.
people just wait for films to come out in OTT. Some films doesn't matter of all these blockbuster films. Some of them, it might not, once they're in the theater, people will go to the theater and watch.
Or more seriously, if I could say. But then lockdown happened. So, but then lockdown gave me Rongo Kurmi, which was the biggest gift of my life. I did a few online workshops with them, and then the rest is history.
Welcome to another new episode of Student Voice Matters. This is your host, Sonalika Goswami. And today I'm back with a very important subject or podcast, theatre. The word theatre immediately indicates various keywords in our mind: art, culture, discipline, emotions, characters. Today we will be going over all of these keywords with Ranjini Ghosh, a student and thespian of Rongo Kurmi Dal. Welcome, Ranjini.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me here, Sonalika. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we are very happy to have you here. And so, how long have you been involved with this group?
So I joined Rongo Kurmi in 2021, but I have been doing theatre for about 7 to 8 years now.
7 to 8 years is a very long time. So, like I mentioned, these keywords, art, culture, discipline, theatre, the first thing that comes to our mind is theatre has no cuts. When you're on stage and once the light is on, the third bell has gone, there's no looking back. So 7 to 8 years now you're quite practiced with this form. When you first began doing theatre and you had to do this uncut play, which is very different to films or televisions, how would you mentally prepare yourself that well?
So if I go back to when I started in a very rudimentary form. So I was learning English speech and drama from my teacher. And then it was not that serious. I had a knack for it, for performing on stage. So I used to perform on stage at school. I used to do Hindi elocution, Bengali. So I always had an interest that I wanted to cultivate. So with that intention in mind, I joined this teacher from whom I learned English speech and drama. So there I never went in with all these apprehensions that, okay, there's no cut, or because theatre was just as new as films and television. I've never done films and TV, so I couldn't really make that comparison that etate cut ache, etate cut nahi. So I went in with an open mind, and I think being an extroverted person that I am, that helped. So I kind of let go. Then slowly I realized that, this is something I really enjoy doing, and I would love to do it on a professional level or more seriously, if I could say. But then lockdown happened. So, but then lockdown gave me Rongo Kurmi, which was the biggest gift of my life. I did a few online workshops with them, and then the rest is history. I've been with the group for quite some time now. I've done a lot of work with them, learned so much more.
But how did that stage confidence come in?
Like I said, I am a naturally confident person, I would say. I'm not
You're not
shy.
stage shy.
I'm not shy, but if I have to say that, if I say that I don't get nerves before entering the stage, that's absolutely wrong.
You still do it.
I still do. I
that.
get absolutely terrified. I have chills. I am absolutely terrified, and anybody in my group or anybody who has ever performed with me will tell you that there's always somebody holding my hand right before I go into stage. But then that's just about 5 to 10 seconds, or maybe on bad days it's a little more, on good days it's about 5 to 10 seconds, and then you're in the character and in the flow of things, and you just go with it. that happens.
So once you're on stage, there's like no, you have to be in sync with everybody. There's no way you can, you do not have the liability to take to go for
Absolutely.
a retake. So
Absolutely.
in that case, how hard is the practice? What is the duration of practice? What is the thing like?
Okay, so we do practice a lot. We feel like even 24 hours is less, but obviously because of certain responsibilities and certain constraints, we on an average about practice for about 4 to 5 hours. So 3 to 8, 3 to 9, that's usually our rehearsal timings. And we, on an average, a new play would take about 50 to 55 days of everyday rehearsals, and that's before the premiere. And before each and every show, that would be about 3 to 5, or maybe sometimes even more, 10, depending on how long we've gone since the last show.
What are the sacrifices required to, get into such tenuous work hours? Like normal, from a normal person who doesn't have to dedicate 4 or 5 hours or 3 to 4 hours every day to their practice. What are the things that you have to let go?
See, because this is something that's very close to my heart, I don't think I can call it a sacrifice, because it's something I'm doing willingly. Sacrifice is something we do unwillingly. We don't have an option.
Correct.
I really love doing theatre, so I wouldn't really call it a sacrifice. But yes, I mean, holidays, weekdays, work days, it's all rehearsal day if there's a show. Then I think I've had the very good fortune of performing twice. So I have had 2 shows on 2 birthdays.
Okay.
2 years in a row I've performed on my birthday. So if you would call that, I don't have too many friends, so I don't party with friends. So I think social life on the whole takes a little bit of a hit, but I don't mind that, to be very honest.
So now you said it's like not a sacrifice for you, yes, and that. But is it possible to have a normal work life if you're like completely into theatre? Like if theatre is not your only job, and if you have a job outside, is it possible to maintain a good balance between job and tedious, long theatre hours?
So I can only speak for myself. So I do have a job outside of theatre. I work for a company called Wealth App Distributors Private Limited. So we are a boutique financial planning firm. So I work there, and it is my family business, and I've been working there ever since my graduation. And even before that, I was doing my graduation while doing theatre. So I don't know, it might not be possible for a lot of people who might have to work, let's say, who have hectic working hours from 9 to 5, 9 to 6.
Let's say you do get a lot of flexibility and privilege.
Yes,
that being a family
absolutely.
business.
So yes, I was just about to come to that. I come from a position of privilege where I can choose when I want to work and how I want to work, which gives me the flexibility to do the things that I love to do. So it might not hold true for everybody, but it works for me. And obviously days are long, days are tiring, but at the end of the day you have a good night's sleep. That's all that matters, to be very honest.
Right. Theatre also means discipline.
Absolutely.
How much discipline have you learned that helps you in your real life as well, outside of theatre?
I have learned so much discipline.
Like?
I think the biggest one would be punctuality. I haven't had a good relationship with punctuality and time and discipline in general. But theatre has taught me. So when we have rehearsed, because if the show starts at 6:30, it is not 6:29, it is not 6:31, it is 6:30. That's when the third bell goes. When we have rehearsals, if the reporting time is 2:45, it is 2:45. You can come however much earlier you wish to prepare, but you cannot come at 2:46. So that was something initially I struggled with a little bit, but now that has become a subconscious exercise for me. And everywhere in work, meetings, I try my best to be on time.
What else?
I think focus, concentration, because it's something that we are taught that जो कुछ भी आपके दिमाग में है वो जब आप एक थिएटर के घर में आ रहे हो उसे आप गेट के बाहर छोड़ के आओ. So I think that applies to every job. Again,
because I think once you're on stage, there's no way of going back. So that focus is required.
Exactly.
कि वैसे prepare कर सको.
Exactly. So there might be a child crying, there might be phones ringing. So recently we did a show where we were performing and something not we are used to. So right across from us was a buffet laid out. So people were snacking. And you know,
Just
you think
distract
it
you a
does
bit.
distract you, but then you have to have that level of concentration and you have to keep your focus in
How do
what's
you manage
happening.
to keep that level of concentration?
I think it's practice, and I wouldn't say that I am able to keep that concentration 100% of the time. It does happen. You know, we are all human at the end of the day. It does happen. You go out of focus, you get distracted, but then just to bring yourself back, it's just practice and meditation, a lot of meditation. So that is, and these are
Meditation, you meditate.
yes, I do, and we're expected to do because it calms you down. And I'm somebody who has 3,000 things running through their mind all at any given point
Right,
of time.
same, I can relate.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Like if somebody asks me what's in your mind, this actually happened, you know, I was at a place and I was just in my own head and somebody asked me, what are you thinking about? And at that moment, I was like, okay, where do I start? I cannot start because I don't know what all the things are going in my head.
Exactly. So just kind of to tune into that one thought, or just tune in and shut out all the noise.
Does it help? Does it work like a relaxation when you're like thinking about one thing and not 3,000 things?
It works in the sense that obviously it is a little tiring because you have to think about what you're thinking about.
Okay.
So if I put it that way. But yes, at the end of it gives you breaks from this mess called life. It gives you a break. You know, you can not think about certain things that you don't want to think about sometimes. You know, we go through a lot on a daily basis, you know, something not working out, a job not happening, a client not closing a deal,
Right.
or some, you know, falling out with a friend or a partner or parents. So sometimes it just helps, you know, I know that those 5 hours I don't need to think about anything else. So that helps.
Well, there have been issues concerning the safety in a theatre space before, you know. There have been cases we have heard about. So, from your personal experience, what is the environment like in a theatre group?
So before Rongo Kormi, I worked with another Bengali theatre group, which I would not like to name. So there I didn't have such a great experience. So the person there who was in charge I was not very comfortable working with them. So I understand where this idea comes from, that because theatre as an art form is very vulnerable, it's very intimate. It was not that difficult for me because I wasn't with that group for very long. It was just about a couple of months. But I think the best part about Rongo Kormi, and the reason why I think I've stuck here, and you know, when my parents are not from this field. And you know, we hear so many things, especially as I'm the only child of my parents. Their concern is but natural.
Right.
But if my parents get to hear that I'm with Rongo Kormi or their team, they're like, okay, fine, you can do whatever you like. Because that's, I think,
The trust level.
the trust and the environment that I feel that who's our creative director right now, Anirudh Sarkar, he has been instrumental. And I think even before that, even when Ma'am Usha Ganguly was there, she kind of set that precedent, and Aniruddha has maintained that, and I think improved that and taken that to different levels, and just ensuring an environment where nobody feels uncomfortable.
You were lucky enough to be involved with a theatre group that gives you such good experience.
I was
But like
very
you
lucky.
said, your former experience was not that great. A lot of people, you know, they fall in trap. They cannot escape for whatever reason. How do you think they should address these issues?
So I think what my message is...
Did you address it?
So my way of addressing was to leave.
Okay.
So I think...
But if anybody wants to stay, you know, because leaving all the time might not be the best option. I mean, imagine somebody has a great potentiality. It's a good theatre group. And just because of one person, it's not always... You know, a lot of people might not want to leave.
I understand that, but I feel, because I'm not talking about any other...
I'm not talking
field.
about you. What you did
No,
was
I'm saying,
right for you.
I'm saying that maybe not in every other field, but in theatre, because it is such an art form where you are, you know, you're stripped bare emotionally, and that I feel is much more being much more vulnerable than stripping yourself physically. So to be able to unlock your true potential, you need to be comfortable. You need to feel safe. I don't think in theatre that can happen without feeling safe.
So how do you address these issues?
So either you go to the higher authority, and now if the higher authority itself is the problem, then there are thousands of other theatre groups out there. So please, if you can leave that space, because if you stay, you're not learning anything. You will not, if you have good potential, you will not be able to do anything, because you cannot access because you're always guarding yourself, because you feel that you're not safe. And if you guard yourself, you can't act, or you can't be on stage, I feel.
Right. And talking about another stability is the career stability. Somebody who wants to become a full-time thespian, somebody who wants to make this their career, their job, somebody who loves the world of theatre, wants to give everything. We know that there isn't currently a lot of financial stability in this line because it's an art form, and art forms are always into question when it comes to financial raise. So in that case, how does a person maintain self-security when it comes to that? Like, how do you keep yourself secure? Because the world can make you feel very insecure. Like,
Absolutely.
oh, এতটাই টাকা কামাস, ও এত হয়, ও হয় না টাকা. So how do you maintain yourself financially secured?
Absolutely. It's a very good question and a very pertinent one. So I made the choice not to source my financial independence from theatre. That was a choice I made.
Right.
Not everybody will be willing to make that choice, because when you love theatre and you love this craft as much as
You want to
do,
be there full time.
you want to be there full time. So there are a lot of options. There are grants that are given by the government. There are groups that have, you can work, you can freelance. So there are a lot of actors who do freelance work with a lot of groups. So that is available in Bengali theatre. I do Hindi theatre. So in Calcutta, not so much, but Bombay and Pune and Delhi, there are a lot of options. You could be part of the NSD repertory, which pays you a salary. But obviously, to qualify for that repertory, you need to have a certain number of years of experience. And that is a big platform. You're representing India on a global level.
But is there enough commercialization of theatre currently in the country?
So,
or in the state, to begin
in
with?
the state, not so much. But in the country, definitely. I mean, Mumbai is doing a great job now with NMACC. There's a lot of international theatre coming to India, and there's a lot happening. And I feel that if not today, maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line, it might be a very nice space to be in. There are a lot of commercial groups, a lot of industrialists investing in this. Especially in big musicals, we have Mughal-e-Azam, and we have Rajadhiraj, and we have a lot of projects that are happening. So I think it might be a positive space.
So in this era, now you have shown us a positive glimpse, but then there is also OTT that has even put box office into, a very topsy-turvy situation right now, because people just wait for films to come out in OTT. Some films doesn't matter of all these blockbuster films. Some of them, it might not, once they're in the theater, people will go to the theater and watch. But there are also like category of films that people are like, oh, এটা hall না দেখলেও চলবে, let's wait, দুদিনে চলে আসবে in some OTT platform. So in this era of OTT, where even films are questioning themselves, what is the situation of theater?
So to answer this question, I would like to take you back a little bit. When TVs came in, every house was getting a TV. Everybody thought that films will go out of business because heroes will not have the same value anymore, and because you can see everything and everybody at homes. But then films didn't go out of fashion. Films ruled. So people thought theatre would die. Theatre didn't die. Theatre is there today. With OTT, so obviously there is a lot more specialization. Like you said, some films work in the box office and in screens. Some films are made for OTT. We have films being made especially for OTT. We have films being made for reels. In China, there's a production house that produces 15-second films in series. So people wait for that. So I don't think, obviously there has to be a niche. Maybe the form will change, maybe the content will change, but will theatre ever truly go away? I don't think so. Because it's live performance at the end of the day, and the way that people are paying out of their...
But you were talking about TV, but nobody watches TV today. That is
Exactly.
very strange.
So like I said,
people have smart TVs which they connect to social internet.
Exactly.
Nobody watches TV today.
Exactly. So people thought TV would take away from films, But now TVs are only going away.
But then that is what I'm saying, that people have, with OTT coming in, they are grasping so many other media lines in a positive way. Of course, they are. There's definitely a big positive side to it. I'm not really sure about that. I mean, other than the fact that they are, people are avoiding TV and cinema, I don't really know the negative impacts to point it out correctly. But the positive impact that I can see is there are so many creative works that we can see. A lot of people cannot make time to go to the theater, so OTTs are giving them a flexible schedule to watch it at any time. So those are there definitely. But OTT being this flexible a platform and this vast a platform that it is, do you think theater is at risk as well?
I feel with OTT, theatre will become more of a luxury. I feel.
How so?
How so? In the sense that, the regular kind of content that we are used to, we watch on OTT and we watch on films. So when people will come to theatre, they will look for grandeur. That's happening in Bombay right now. Okay. We have these big, large-scale musical productions, which give you an experience very different from watching OTT on your screens.
I think I would like to add a little. It could also be because, a huge population in India who are not very exposed to international films or cultures, they did not much have an idea about, English theatres or Shakespearean theatres. Not everybody attends ICSE school to be able to, read William Shakespeare art in 9 and 10, theatre in 9 and 10. But, for those people, OTTs do bring in a lot of content, Indian or international content, from the archives as well. Like, big scale musicals. And because musicals are a lot more practiced in the Western country contemporarily, a lot of people are getting the idea of what a musical is. A lot of people are getting idea of what a realist act is. And OTT has made the channel for it, right? So that is why do you think that, now that people have an idea how grand a musical can be, people are actually wanting to see it live?
Yes, definitely people want to see grand productions, not just musicals, but something grand, something bigger than they are. I think theatre can provide that experience. OTT and films probably cannot, in that, the personal connect that theatre has. So that will always have a very different experience from sitting at home watching something on a screen.
So, what I wanted to say is that it's definitely one experience being an audience. But once you're trying to get involved, you have to be you have to have certain mental preparation before you jump into it. But there are various mental stigmas related to theatre. The first one we already covered is the financial stability. But there are others like, the pressure of doing well. Like you have to be concentrated, you have to be focused, all this is fine. But the pressure, like if you're a theatre actor, people view you as a very seasoned actor. Once you tell someone that, I've come from theatre background, they look at you with a different respect. They think that, you are very good at what you do because theatre sort of trains you that way. So are you always at a pressure of doing your best? And how do you manage when you don't feel like you're giving your best? How do you manage those days?
So obviously, like I said, we're all human. It's not possible to be at your best every single day. And as I think everybody who is in theatre, who does theatre, loves it. That is, if you don't love this, you won't be able to do it. Because, like you said, there is a pressure that you want to be the best.
People expect you to do your best.
Exactly.
How do you manage, how do you deal with that pressure?
Exactly. So, I think the key is to not worry too much about what other people think. Obviously, there is an internal pressure that, I need to. So, if I have 10 shows, 10 days, I have 10 shows of the same play. I have to give the same performance or better every single day.
Right.
So, obviously, that's hard. But then that's where practice comes in. And I feel that the system of theatre and theatre training as such on the whole, it prepares you for that. So you could not be having a great day, but your training will make your body do things. Maybe it will not be your best performance. Not every day will be your best. But then you will still live. You will manage to sail through.
Also, I think the synchronization of theatre teams are so good that, one can hold the other and bring out the other's
so
best.
that's I think that's so beautiful about theatre. Like I said, in a group, when we are working together, it's like a family, and we help each other sail instead of trying to make the other person sink.
Right.
So
So
maybe
you also learn a lot of teamwork. That is also
absolutely.
one more discipline.
So maybe you're not having the best day, but somebody else is. So they kind of grab you and make you sail with you. So that's
Right.
the fun of theatre. And every day is different. So
The other
it's
thing
amazing.
is that the tragic character, like there is an idea with theater, that some characters are very tragic. Suppose you're doing an intense play, and there is so much complex emotions involved in one character. So the idea of tragic artist sort of romanticizes some sort of sadness, mental dissatisfaction in an actor, which can be persuaded, in a wrong way. So how do you address a mental issue correctly? How do you address these tragedies correctly?
So I feel the reason why people romanticize tragedy happening in their own lives, I think it has to do a lot with the, in media we see, this actor didn't eat for 20 days straight, that actor didn't sleep, that actor couldn't get out of the character for 30 days afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
So these things are romanticized. But what we have learned, and anybody who's doing theatre seriously will learn, is that as important as it is to connect with your character, it is also equally important to know when to switch off, to know when to disconnect. Because you in films maybe it will work because you're doing one project at a time and you have some gap between two projects, but in theatre it doesn't work. Because in theatre you could be having three different shows on the same day, morning, matinee, evening,
Right,
three different shows, three completely different characters, three different lives played by the same actor. So if my first show is a very tragic mother who has lost her son, and the second show is a very exuberant character with, I don't know, enjoying life at its fullest, so how am I going to make that change if I am so deep into the grief of that mother that I
Right.
can't do the second play properly? So in theatre it is very important. So especially people who are teaching you, who are training you, they have to make sure, because you don't know, because I don't know, I am learning, I am a beginner.
You just mentioned that theater strips you bare emotionally.
Absolutely.
Right? So, is there enough? Because once you're that vulnerable, it's very important to, come back
Exactly.
to square one.
Exactly.
So, is there enough talk about mental health issues in a theater group? Is it addressed?
Absolutely. So we have days where we practice this. So there are special exercises that we do to connect, to know ourselves. So I feel that I don't know if it might not be politically correct to say this, but I feel that theatre in a way is therapy. In a way. Because essentially what happens in therapy, there's a person who helps you get to know yourself. Right? So you're talking to a person and you're figuring out what is it that is wrong with you, or what is it that is right about you. So I think theatre does the same thing. It helps you know yourself. So,
And does theater also teach you how to handle it? Because not a lot of people can handle what they find out about themselves.
Absolutely. So you have to you learn what you are. You basically do your own SWOT analysis, and then you learn how to utilize that.
Okay.
So somebody's strength might be somebody else's weakness, and somebody else's weakness might be somebody else's strength. So how do you effectively use those strengths and weaknesses to, bring forward your best self?
Right. And you are definitely Gen Z, right? But other than you, how much do you think that the Gen Z or the contemporary age group is attracted towards theatre?
So I that's my observation in the last 5-6 years. I feel that a lot of people come to do theatre and not to watch theatre.
Yeah, I have felt that too. I think people
Yes.
are again getting motivated towards being involved in theatre.
That's because all the casting calls nowadays, especially in Bollywood, they all come with the tagline that theatre experience preferred. So I am somebody who has loved theatre. I didn't really want to do films initially, and I've always loved theatre, and I loved the live performance aspect of it, and that's why I joined. But that's not the case with most people. Most people want to become an actor and an
Actors,
actress on screen.
just
and
join theatre
They
to
join
get
theatre
trained.
because they feel that will train them.
Yeah, be a milestone for them.
Absolutely. It'll train them. The process will train them. Of course, theatre is an excellent training field. But, you have to treat theatre as a separate art form and give it its due respect, I feel.
Thank you so much, Ranjini.
Thank you so
It
much.
was amazing
Pranalika.
talking to you. Thank you.
Great talking to you too. Thank you so much.